This was ZiggyD's first Path of Exile video back in 2011. And this was ZiggyD interviewing Path of Exile's 2 game directors yesterday. This video is a high-level summary or cliff notes of the entire interview about Path of Exile 3.25 Settlers of Kalguur, with a little bit of commentary here in the early morning hours attached. Enjoy, my fellow exiles, and subscribe for more Path of Exile 1 and Path of Exile 2 content. Timestamps are below. Question 1. Did you just put everything in there that you could think of? Well, they just do what they do and keep going until the end. They work until launch. It never stops there at Grinding Gear Games. They are very passionate about what they do, and for every minute that they're there at work, they are putting out as much content as possible. A lot of the ideas in Settlers of Kalguur have been cooking there for a while. They thought, why not just put them all in the game and test them out? A lot of it might actually go core. Question 2. This update is kind of big, right? Not crazy here. Jonathan initially actually said compared to PoE 2 it seems small, but of course the size of this PoE 1 update is ridiculous. And of note, this interview is only about PoE 1, not a lot of PoE 2 talk will be here within. Question 3. Boats were teased yet again, yet they did not happen. What gives? Well, it's not intentional on Grinding Gear Games' end. They reckon if they gave us a boat league, we wouldn't end up liking it. Maybe one day we'll get there will be boats, but we won't be on them. They'll keep on dangling the boats in front of us forevermore. And that's just crazy to think about, that one day maybe we'll actually get boats. This league, we're not really. We're using boats for trading, but we're not actually riding on them. In PoE 2 we get them, but in PoE 1, they're still in the distance, everyone. Question 4. Does this feel like a send-off for Path of Exile 1 since the Path of Exile 2 beta is upcoming? No, they don't see it that way, as they shall keep making Path of Exile 1 leagues just like this. It's definitely hard making 2 games at once, but they just need to get used to it and keep both games going strong. We should see things of this magnitude going forward. Hearing that is absolutely phenomenal. It's what I put out a video on last night after that reveal. If you'd like to hear my full thoughts on it, go ahead and watch that video. Essentially, it's phenomenal that they are doing something that so many companies have failed to do in the past. Talk about, Guild Wars 1, Guild Wars 2 with ArenaNet, or RuneScape and old school RuneScape, right? Grinding Gear Games are seeking to do the impossible here, and I think they are just the right company to succeed. Question 5. Gold is now in the game with Settlers, with trading, currency exchange, and respecs. What is the idea behind gold in PoE 1 and the currency exchange too? Well, yes, gold hasn't been there before, but definitely could have. It was perhaps a mistake not adding it in the beginning of the game. Gold is not a trading currency. It is bound to the character, not traded between players. It gates things and acts as an amount played on a certain character. It prevents crazy inflation due to the way they implemented it, but it needs to be tested because this is all a theory. They do not know if the economy will go weird. They cannot test it with their small office sample size. They need us, the players, the exiles, to vet it properly. What they hope is all goes fine and they can put the currency exchange and gold, which allows you to easily trade any currency in the game with other players for a small gold fee, and more into the core game after this league. They expect people to liquidate a ton of currency here. They knew this was something they needed to build the league around, as trade is the most frustrating aspect of Path of Exile 1 to most players who play the game and don't play the game, including game director Mark Roberts, who had quite the scenario with trying to buy catalysts in Necropolis League. It's also going to be awesome to see how this system works before it arrives in PoE 2 as well. By the way, gold drops from everything. You don't need to engage with the league mechanics to use gold, but you do need to be in the league itself. This isn't in standard right now. You can just invite Faustus into your hideout and chill with him doing gold stuff, like the currency exchange or gambling. Now, I can't see them taking this away, and we actually do go into it in the next question here, but the fact that this is a league-only thing means that it could be taken away, exiles. Question 6. Do they see gold sticking around? Yes, but they need an out if it goes horribly wrong. They want to keep it in, but they'll have to see. Plus, would the players ever let them remove this? And they are totally right here. Would we ever let them remove something like the currency exchange? It will truly have to go so terribly wrong for them to pull this from the game. I can't see it breaking the game that much, and I cannot see players begging for grinding gear games to remove the currency exchange from the game after it has been added. Question 7. What's with the gold gambling for items? It's a gold sink to rid of inflation. Plus, it's a great way to get good bases easily. They'll always be well-rolled items too, which is something that this league focuses on expanding with rares. Rares in general are more powerful and easier to create, and they don't want uniques to be as mandatory as previous leagues, especially when it comes to magic find and item quantity. Yes, that's right. Remember, item quantity on items has been removed entirely, and now item rarity can be found on a lot more items that are rare as well. Question 8. How did the cozy concept for Settlers of Kalguur come about? Well, the first pitch from Mark to Jonathan was Pal World League. Then it became too complicated. Next, they wrote down a ton of problems in PoE 1 and built a town to solve them. They used the Kalguur and King's March from the art, which was already done from PoE 2, and it's usually the thing that takes the longest to develop. It also turned out to be a cool tie-in between PoE 1 and PoE 2, as King's March is the Act 4 town in Path of Exile 2. I'm so happy that I called this. A lot of other people did call it as well, but it was obvious that they were going to do something like this. The tie-in is great. It's going to help people understand the lore better and excite folks for Path of Exile's 2 story when it comes out too. I'm just super excited. I'm also curious to see if maybe like Danig and the other expedition folks will somehow reference this league in Path of Exile 2, like the founding of King's March and how these wild, powerful exiles helped them build it. That would also be another secondary cool tie-in. Question 9. Is this intentionally a meta progression league? There's not only a meta progression here. The world encounters are pretty fun too and haven't really been delved in. There's one in every area with 5 or so, or maybe a 6th different outcome or variation. It's a super difficult boss. Most of the encounters are fight monsters in a circle, game things, with another being fight monsters in the whole area. Then there's the whole meta progression aspect, building the town itself. There's a ton of stuff going on here, and much of this progression will help greatly with early progression especially, but might eventually slope off for those min-max players. Additionally, the timers here are intentionally not meant to feel bad and allow you to stack up a bunch of tasks at once. They do not want it to feel like a mobile game in the slightest. You shouldn't feel like you need to log in at certain times to certain places and do certain things. And thank goodness for that. There's a reason I love Path of Exile, and that's because I can log in and do whatever the heck I want when I want and not be bogged down by timers or the need to do certain tasks at a certain time. If I wanted to do that, I'd play more Guild Wars 2. I love Path of Exile right now because I can pick it up, play it, do whatever I want. I'm really hoping the timers won't be too much of a blocker here. They've pitched them as not being that blocker. But especially when it comes to the bosses attacking your town, I hope that's not on a too rare timer, because boss fights are my favorite thing in the game, and I really want to fight all these new bosses. And I saw that Camille did boss tracks, and Michael did boss song tracks. So there's a lot of new songs and music in this league. I cannot wait to hear them. Question 10. What does gold scale with? Everything that items scale with, like item quantity and the like. It cannot be traded between players. They'd like to stress this. Question 11. Do the map runners actually run the maps? They've simulated as well as they possibly could. Yes, they run the maps. You, of course, can grab mage bloods and valuable cards from this method of collection. That is wild. Question 12. How does Rune Smithing work? Well, we'll start with some runes and crafting unlocked, but we'll learn more and more as we progress, finding some absolutely crazy crafts along the way. Some of these crafts are seriously ridiculous, such as rotating shrine buff mods. They are surely expensive though, and will need a lot of resources to scale. This is probably one of the things I am most excited for, imbuing our weapons with starlight, like the Kalguur do back in Kalguur. It's going to be really cool. It's something that I predicted would happen, but I actually thought was going to be a low chance of actually occurring. And here we are. Question 13. How do you feel about the new random encounters added? Well, in both the campaign and maps, they love them. The new endgame stuff isn't on the Atlas tree right now, but that doesn't mean they cannot be in the future. And all the secrets added to the campaign truly do add to the mystery and variety of it. They cannot wait for us to find all these things in our journey to maps on launch day. Seriously, I thought it was one of the best additions in 3.24 Necropolis. I'm wondering if I'm going to think that with 3.25. With all the other changes, it might not be near the top of the list anymore, but I will be excited playing hardcore for the first time on a live stream, first time ever on launch day. It's going to be wild. I wonder if one of these things is going to get me. Question 14. Can you talk a bit about the Settlers boss fight process? Yeah, it's just a portal you take in King's March, and you get one shot to take the boss out. Oh my, they're bringing some more Path of Exile 2 into Path of Exile 1. One attempt at the boss fight? Oh my, here we go, everyone. Question 15. Can you elaborate a bit on the Endgame Changes? They changed a bunch of stuff, and Mark is not afraid to take rests. That's why they pushed out so many changes early on in Necropolis. They also removed back to basics this league as it encouraged super unhealthy gameplay. People were getting 150 uniques from one boss. Some maps had 100,000 plus unique items alone with all the different multipliers. Less than 100 players across the entire realm hoarded 99% of these powerful uniques. It was insane, and it ruined the market. They've done a lot of testing and are ensuring much of this is fixed going into 3.25. Now, it was fascinating to hear Mark and his thought process here. I respect the guy massively. He obviously loves this game, he plays the game, and he is willing to make huge decisions and risks, not only during the development process like here in Settlers of Kalguur, but early on in the league too, to do what he thinks is right. Now, he might be wrong in some scenarios, but he admits that. He admitted that here, that they took risks and they did not pay off, and they'll just have to learn from them. I really like this design philosophy, and I love the way he's communicating it. I hope this continues in the future. Question 16. What changes have been made to T17 Map Monsters? Monsters have 55% less life and about 35% less damage. Whoa, that's big. Question 17. Did Necropolis hit the mark for grinding gear games? No. There were plenty of layers there that they were disappointed with. The graveyard was tedious. The number of quad tabs people used for corpses was maddening. At one point, Ziz messaged Mark and was like, look how many I'm using here. And they learned quite a bit from Necropolis. Some people enjoyed it, many didn't. They learned. They tried something new. They like to do that. They shall continue to take risks. They just won't make the same mistake twice. And that is the key lesson here. Thank you, Mark. Thank you. Question 18. What led to the massive melee changes? The community mainly. People wanted it. Then they made a document showcasing what melee builds needed to do to be viable. It was shocking to see everything laid out. They also ran tons of tests, done by a legendary GGG employee who has been running races and recording times to kill Brutus, XP per hour, and the like on every class and combination available, and then ranking everything together, melee, ranged, spells, everything. It was a wild task, and it helped map everything out quite a bit. Question 19. Any other leagues returning, like Trial of the Ancestors, anytime soon? Not right now, nope. But if you asked Mark about Sentinel returning, he would have said no about that too. Things change weekly with grinding gear games. And that is the summary of the Q&A between ZiggyD and game directors on Path of Exile, Mark Roberts and Jonathan Rogers. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Are you excited for 3.25 Settlers of Kalguur? What are you going to be playing? Do you like the approach that Mark and Jonathan are taking to Path of Exile 1's design? And are you excited for the future of PoE 1 with PoE 2 now on the horizon? It looks like they are truly going to be going all in developing both ARPGs at the same time, and I couldn't be more excited. Anyways, that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed it, the subscribe button too, and the sub notification bell for more PoE 1 and PoE 2 content. I'll see you in the next one. Talkative, fellow exiles.